Your request is for a long, reusable script that will be published, so I've put it into an editable writing block. Hashtag asterisk asterisk, a poor mother couldn't pay the hospital bill. Then a millionaire changed everything asterisk asterisk. The bright morning sun poured through the large glass windows of Westbridge City Hospital, filling the white hallways with warm golden light. Outside, people hurried past the entrance without noticing the silent heartbreak unfolding just inside those walls. Among the crowd sat a young mother named asterisk asterisk Marina Hale asterisk asterisk, holding a small hospital bill in trembling hands. Tears rolled quietly down her face as she looked from the paper to the sleeping little boy beside her. Every number printed on that bill felt heavier than the world itself. She had already sold her jewelry, her furniture, and nearly everything she owned, yet it still wasn't enough. She was about to lose the only person who gave her life meaning. Asterisk asterisk, if you believe that kindness and second chances can change someone's life, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Asterisk Wisdom Storyhouse Star. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories that remind the world that hope is never truly lost. Asterisk asterisk. Marina had never imagined life would become this difficult. Just 2 years earlier, she had a happy family, a modest apartment, and a husband who worked hard every day. Then tragedy arrived without warning. Her husband was killed in a highway accident while driving home from work. Overnight, Marina became both mother and father to her 6-year-old son, asterisk asterisk Evan asterisk asterisk. She worked long hours cleaning offices during the day and washing dishes at a small cafe every evening. She barely slept, but every sacrifice felt worthwhile whenever she saw Evan smile. Everything changed again when Evan suddenly became seriously ill. At first, Marina thought it was just another seasonal fever, but the doctors discovered a severe infection that required immediate treatment. The operation was successful, but the hospital costs grew larger with every passing day. Insurance covered almost nothing because her late husband had lost his job months before his accident, and their policy had expired. Marina borrowed money from neighbors, asked relatives for help, and even took loans she knew she could never repay. Still, the amount remaining on the hospital bill was impossible for her to manage. That morning, the hospital administrator gently explained that although the doctors would continue caring for Evan, the outstanding balance had reached a critical level. Marina nodded politely, pretending to stay strong, but inside she felt completely broken. She walked into the hospital garden where flowers bloomed beneath the morning sun. Children laughed nearby while birds sang from the trees. The beauty surrounding her only made her sadness feel even deeper. She closed her eyes and whispered a simple prayer, asking for nothing except one more chance to save her son. At the same time, a black luxury car quietly pulled into the hospital parking lot. Inside sat asterisk asterisk Adrian Mercer asterisk asterisk, one of the country's most successful entrepreneurs. His companies employed thousands of people, but few knew his personal story. Decades earlier, Adrian had grown up in poverty with a single mother who worked endlessly to keep him alive. When he was only 12 years old, she became seriously ill. His family could not afford proper medical treatment, and he lost the person he loved most. That painful memory never left him, no matter how successful he became. Adrian rarely announced his charitable work. Instead of appearing before cameras or donating for publicity, he quietly visited hospitals, schools, and shelters, paying expenses anonymously whenever he found someone truly in need. He believed kindness was most powerful when nobody expected recognition. As Adrian walked through the hospital lobby, he noticed Marina sitting alone on a bench. Her eyes were swollen from crying, yet she gently smiled whenever she looked toward her son's room. Something about her reminded him of his own mother. He asked one of the nurses about her situation. The nurse quietly explained everything: the accident, the years of struggle, the impossible medical bills, and the sacrifices Marina had made without ever complaining. Adrian listened silently. Every word reopened memories he had spent years trying to bury. He remembered watching his own mother pretend she wasn't in pain because she couldn't afford treatment. He remembered promising himself that if he ever escaped poverty, no child would lose a parent simply because money stood in the way. Without introducing himself to Marina, Adrian requested a meeting with the hospital's financial office. He reviewed the outstanding balance and asked one simple question: "Is this everything?" The administrator nodded. Adrian quietly wrote a check covering not only the remaining hospital bill but also 6 months of follow-up care, rehabilitation, medication, transportation, and additional emergency expenses. Before leaving, he added one more request: "Please don't tell her who paid." Tell her only that someone believed her kindness deserved another chance. The paperwork was completed within minutes. Later that afternoon, Marina returned to the billing office expecting another difficult conversation. Instead, the receptionist smiled warmly and handed her an envelope. Confused, Marina slowly opened it. Inside was a receipt marked in bold letters. *** paid in full. ***. For several long seconds she couldn't breathe. She read the paper again and again, convinced she had misunderstood something. Then she looked up with tears streaming freely down her cheeks. There must be some mistake. The receptionist gently shook her head. There isn't. Someone paid everything this morning. Marina stood frozen. Her knees nearly gave way beneath her. Years of exhaustion, fear, grief, and hopelessness suddenly crashed over her all at once. She covered her mouth as tears flowed uncontrollably. Every nurse nearby quietly wiped away tears of their own. She rushed back to Evan's room and hugged him carefully while he slept peacefully. For the first time in months, she cried not because of fear, but because hope had returned. Weeks later, Evan recovered completely. He ran through neighborhood parks again, laughed with friends, and returned to school. Marina continued working, but life no longer felt impossible. She refused to let the stranger's kindness end with her family. Every Saturday morning she volunteered at a local food pantry, helping families experiencing the same struggles she once faced. She often reminded herself that although she couldn't repay the mysterious donor directly, she could honor that kindness by passing it forward. Months passed before Marina accidentally discovered the truth. One afternoon, the food pantry organized a charity event for children. As volunteers prepared meals, a familiar face quietly entered the building without cameras or reporters. It was Adrian Mercer. Marina recognized him immediately from a newspaper article displayed near the entrance. Before she could speak, she noticed him carrying boxes of food himself instead of asking employees to do it. When Adrian looked up, their eyes met. Marina slowly approached him with tears already forming. "You were the one, weren't you?" Adrian smiled gently but didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked around the room filled with families receiving food. "I simply continued something my mother taught me a long time ago," he finally said. She believed that real wealth isn't measured by what we keep. It's measured by how many lives become lighter because we were here. Marina could barely speak. "You saved my son." Adrian softly shook his head. "No, the doctors saved your son. I only removed one obstacle standing in their way." Those words stayed with Marina forever. Years later, inspired by the kindness she had received, Marina established a small non-profit organization that helped struggling parents pay emergency medical expenses. It began with only a few donations collected from neighbors and local businesses. Slowly, the project grew. Hundreds of families received assistance. Children returned home healthy. Parents found hope when they thought none remained. One evening, during the organization's annual fundraising event, Marina stood before hundreds of guests holding back tears. She never revealed the full identity of the man who had changed her life. Instead, she simply said, "Someone once reminded me that miracles sometimes arrive dressed as ordinary people. Because one stranger chose compassion over comfort, hundreds of families are together today." Across the room, Adrian quietly smiled before slipping away unnoticed, exactly as he always preferred. His greatest reward had never been recognition. It had always been watching kindness continue long after he was gone. ***, if this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to *Wisdom Storyhouse Star. Every interaction helps spread stories that remind us compassion still exists in our world. ***, Sparkling Heart Special request ** before this story ends. Tell us in the comments. ***, what would you do if you had the chance to secretly change someone's life forever? ***. As the sun slowly set over the city that evening, its golden light reflected across hospital windows where countless families still waited for hope. Somewhere inside those halls, another worried parent was silently praying for a miracle. Somewhere else, another ordinary person was preparing to become that miracle without expecting applause, fame, or gratitude. Because kindness has a remarkable way of traveling farther than money ever can. A single generous act can echo through generations, inspiring people who may never even know the name of the person who first started it. The greatest gift is not wealth itself but the willingness to use it to lift someone who has fallen. And sometimes, The person who changes the world forever is simply someone who chooses to care when everyone else walks away.